Hi, a very good morning to all of you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nita K, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication, Adichandra Institute of Engineering and Technology. I will teach you the subject Network Theory, which is a core paper in your third semester. It's a fundamental subject and a basic paper in your electronics career. All of you know nowadays we are going through a pandemic situation. So we switched to a new mode of teaching learning process, online mode. I request all your cooperation throughout the course in order to smooth conduct of this course, and I request all your participation. Thank you. First of all, I give a brief overview of the course. What are the contents that included in the course of network theory? It will be some fundamental principles of circuit theory. As all of you hear about some circuits, right? Many of you done some projects as circuits or done some hobby circuits as of your passion in electronics and circuits, or as a part of your project. All of you deals with some type of, or in daily life you are deals with some of the circuits. Okay, so this course will help you to analyze that type of electronic circuits and also to develop a skill to perform or debug that circuit. Okay, so we do the this circuit analysis by using some physics and mathematical concepts that will be helping you to create some practical applications of electric or electronic systems, or some parts of some electronic systems, or some electronic products we can develop. As all you have some ambition, like as a design engineer or a communication engineer, or in an engineer in an electronic field, right? So this is the fundamental subject in order to grow in your engineering career. All you have a question like this: why we are studying all these courses during this engineering, and do we have any practical application or something like that? You are all study this subject to produce to product oriented as a product, or as an analysis or testing some purpose. Okay, so I already told that this is a fundamental course in your electronic career. So this course includes uh, this type of product design. For example, a telephone, cell phones, computers, and power lighting, and even in recent cars, engines. There are so much of electronic systems in all of our daily, because this era is a technology era. So all these having some small electronic systems, not components, electronic system. So in order to design an electronic system, you have to study the currents, voltage, power, etc. for all these systems. So this network theory or circuit theory is a fundamental subject which deals with this type of circuit parameters and circuit analysis, and network functions and network parameters, etc. So how can we do the course more interesting? I already told this is a fundamental subject or core subject in your electronics field. So how can we make this course more interesting? First, I suggest your valuable participation. Participation means your interaction because we go through a online mode of teaching. It will have some limitations to direct in contact with each one of you. So your valuable participation makes you more interesting in this course. And next thing that this is a problematic paper, so you have to quit the mugging up or by heart the subject. Learn with the concept. When you understand the concept, so there will not be no need to mug up. So this contains many problems. So you have to have a practice like problem solving. So as many problems you solve related to some topic, it will help you to gain more knowledge. So you have to love solutions, not for the problems. Okay, so this during this subject you have a chance. We can make the solution as many ways. It will have a long way and short way. It depends on your logic. Okay, so shortcut methods can also be used for finding the solution if final thing is the solution should be correct, right? You can go in any methods, not to be stick on in a particular step-by-step procedure. But if there are some conditions like you have to use some this method, that means you have to go only with that method. Okay, so I hope you are you all are interested in problem solving, right? So this is the syllabus for your network theory. It's the first version in 2019 scheme. So the first module contains mainly two methods, that is mesh and node analysis, and second method contains the network theorems. I think you are familiar with this network theorems and all in your first year subject basic electrical paper, right? And the module 3 contains the Laplace transform. That's also you deals with in mathematics, alright? So it will be easier for you if you are going through these topics in your previous semesters. And module 4 and module 5 will be something new for your curriculum. So this module 4 contains network functions and network parameters, and module 5 is two-port network, right? I think basically this is a easy subject, but in exam point of view, if you have to score high marks, you have to do the do more problems in practice, right? So these are some basic introduction, that is course outcomes. The first course outcome is make use of mesh or node analysis to obtain steady state response. And second course outcome is make use of network theorems to obtain steady state response of the network. And third one is apply Laplace transforms to determine the transient behavior of RLC networks. And fourth one is apply network functions and parameters to analyze the single port and two port networks. And fifth one is solve the parameters of simple passive electric circuits using a MATLAB or PSpice software. The fifth one is something a course project, that the project that you uh, done during the course duration. So it will be done in any of these two platforms, that is MATLAB or PSpice. I think PSpice is already familiar with you in the first year, and MATLAB that will be in your third semester curriculum. Okay, so these are my grading policies, that is attendance have 10 marks, continuous assessment and test, that means internal test 25 marks, and assignment or quizzes or continuous evaluation having 15 marks. And assignment evaluation, out of 15 marks, I divide this 15 marks into three. The first one is problem solving module test or assignment submission for first and second uh, module, and next is assignment and online quiz, the three and fourth module, 3 4 5 modules, and third one is, that is 5 marks based on the project based learning. That means the course project will contain 5 marks. So I will give you the direction to do the course project, so don't worry about that. So these are the reference text in your latest syllabus: network analysis by M.E. Van Valkenburg and network analysis by Shyam Mohan Sudhagar will be the textbooks, and network analysis and synthesis by Ravi Shah Singh is the reference book. All the three are good text. This network analysis, Sudhagar and Ravi Shah, is something simple text, and Van Valkenburg, I don't say it is difficult, but it is foreign author text. It little bit little bit time will be taken for understanding in your uh, graduate level. Okay, so go. My suggestion is you have to buy any one of these texts. So this will be the fundamental text. It will be helping in your entire career. So next is module 1 topics, that is mesh and node analysis. So in this slide or PPT, I deals with the review of circuit elements. Before going into the syllabus, let me discuss some topics that is relating to this subject, network theory. All of you heard about the circuit. So what is a circuit? There is a question, fundamental question. What is a circuit? How many of you know the answer? What is a circuit? A circuit is a continuous path that provides the flow of electrons from and back to the generator. Right? So that means it's a closed path. Through that path, the current will be flowing. If there are any elements, like in the picture, there is a two bulbs and one source, that is a battery, and one switch. So it's a closed path. From the generator, that is the source, battery will generate some energy, and that will create some electric current, and that will be passing through the bulb, and it will ignite or it will light up. So the energy transfer will takes place. So a circuit in its means it's a continuous conductor that provides a path for the flow of electrons away from and back to the generator or the source of current. Okay, I think it's clear. Okay, next is a network. Can you hear about the word network? Nowadays, all are discussing the network is less or network coverage is less, etc. So there are many types of networks are there. Here we deals with the electrical network. So it's a interconnection of electrical elements such as resistors, inductors, capacitors, sources, etc. So it's just like a interconnection. uh, we will connect to wires, resistors, capacitors, etc. So there is no need of sources, no compulsory there should have a source or a load, etc. So it's just an interconnection, and it will not contain it is not necessary to contain a closed path. So that is the difference between circuit and network. In our subject, it's network theory. It's also called as circuit theory. So that is why I am discussing here what is a network and what is a circuit. I think it's clear for you. Okay, next is what is the difference between circuit and network? I already told a circuit is a closed path. So it will having some electrical sources, and there is a chance of passing current through the closed path. Current will always pass through a closed path. So circuit contains a closed path, but a network need not be contains a closed path. It will be just an interconnection of circuit elements. So we can say every circuit is a network, but all the networks are not the circuit, right? I think you can uh, get a idea by looking this diagram. So here it indicates this is a circuit. That means it will have a closed path, and a network there is no closed path. That is a basic difference. So this should be keep in mind when you are deals with the circuit theory or network theory. So next is the building elements for the circuit. There are mainly three parameters for the circuit. Already you know V. V is the voltage and I is the current and R is the resistance. These are the three fundamental parameters that we are going to analyze throughout this subject, right? Voltage, current and resistance. V, I and R. These are the three elements or three parameters. Next we are discussing these three parameters one by one. So first one is voltage. I think all of you know what is a voltage. So voltage is a potential difference. All you know. So it's a energy required to move a unit charge through an element, and it is measured in voltage. And what is this? How this potential difference exists in an element? Because all we know in an atom there are two types of charges, positive and negative, and there will be a force of attraction between these two charges. So in order to overcome this force of attraction between the charges, there should have some minimum energy. This difference in potential energy of charges is called the voltage or potential difference, right? So this potential difference we denote it as VAB. That is, VAB means potential difference between A and B. A and B are the two points that two charges places. Okay, so VAB between 2 points A and B in an electric circuit is the energy or work needed to move a charge from A to B. These are the fundamental things that you already studied in plus 1, plus 2 or either in high school standards, right? And next thing is electrical current. So while a voltage refers to an electrical energy or pressure of a circuit, current refers to an electrical flow of a circuit. That means flow of charges is known as the electric current. So it is the amount of electric charges flowing past a point in a circuit every second. Okay, so it will be a measure of flowness, electrical flow. So it is measured in ampere. Ampere, A, we denote the letter A. So 1 ampere is equal to 6.28 billion million electrons per second. And next thing is Ohm's law. Already you heard about this Ohm's law. Where there is a V and A, that means a voltage and current, there exists some parameters like R. So this R is defined by this Ohm's law. Ohm's law is the voltage is proportional to the current flowing through the conductor, right? So this proportionality constant is known as resistance. Okay, so this circle indicates the what is the relation between I, V, power and resistance, right? Here I, P, V and R. So what is I? I means V by R or P by V or root of P by R, or R resistance is equal to V square by P or V by I or P by I square. So this is something to remember or to keep in mind, right? So this picture shows what is the actual physical meaning of a resistance. Resistance means it is a roughness. When the electric current flow through a conductor, what is the resistance or what is the opposition to that current, that is known as the resistance, right? So next thing is resistance. Already we discussed, it is opposition to flow of electric circuit is called resistance, or it is also known as impedance, and it is measured in ohm, and it is measured by a device known as ohm meter. So this electrical component, or I think all you will be see this resistance at least one. Okay, so 1 ohm is the amount of electrical resistance overcome by 1 volt to cause 1 ampere of current to flow. That means R is equal to V by I. So 1 volt by 1 ohm will be the 1 ohm. So electrical current flows through the path of least resistance. That means if we have two paths, one is a high resistance and one is low resistance, that means one in a easy way and one is a difficult way. So when we have two choices like this, we will go for a easy way. So that is why the electric current will flow through the path with have low resistance. Okay. So electricity can encounter resistance by the type of conductor, the size of the conductor, and even the corrosion on the connections. That this resistance depends on always depends on the element or the substance feature. So next is power and energy. Electric power, already P is equal to V into I, and for AC we will take the average power. AC means alternating current, DC means direct current. I think all you know what is DC. DC means it will not have any uh, change during the time. This is DC, and AC means it will be sinusoidal, so something like a sinusoidal, it will changes with respect to time, that is AC. So the DC power is P is given by V by I, and AC power TAV is equal to 1 by 2 VI. Here this 1 by 2 when we are taking the average value for the AC. So, and energy is defined as P into time. Already you are familiar with the energy meter in your home. So this will give the energy P into time, that is kilowatt, that is a power unit of power, and hour is a time. So kilowatt hour will be the energy unit, or it is also known as the joule. So next is what is actually the physical concept of current, voltage and resistance, some analogy. So when we are thinking like the water flowing through a hose is a good way to imagine electricity. Water is like electrons, and in wire flowing through, the electrons are known as a current. The pressure is the force pushing water through the hose, that is known as a voltage in terms of electrons. And friction against the hose walls through the flow of water is known as the resistance. I think you can understand what I mean. That means if we are water is flowing through a pipe, the pressure will be the voltage, flow will be the current, and the opposition force or the friction against on the walls will be the resistance. Next we are deals with the circuit elements. Circuit elements is we are thinking about the basic circuit elements that are the building blocks of our circuit. This is similar to what we do in chemistry with chemical elements like oxygen or nitrogen. So like that in our circuit engineer, this circuit elements will be the main. So the circuit elements include voltage source, current source, etc. That will be discussed in later. So the circuit element cannot be broken down or subdivided into other circuit elements. So these are the basic elements. This characteristics of the circuit element is defined in terms of its behavior of voltage and current at its terminal, right? So this voltage current will be the circuit parameters, and voltage source, current source, resistance, etc. will be the circuit elements. I think you will get the idea what is circuit elements. So these are the basic circuit elements which include voltage source, current source, resistors, inductors and capacitors. And first we deals with the voltage source. A source, all of you know what is a source. That will it will generate some energy. That is a source. And what is a it's a voltage. Voltage means it's a potential energy to overcome uh, to move a unit charge from one point to another. That is a voltage. So a voltage source is a two terminal circuit element that maintains a voltage across its terminals. That is a voltage source. So the value of voltage is defining the characteristics of a voltage source. So here voltage always we deals with the voltage source. Its voltage value will be the parameter, and we are nothing deals with the current value. So the voltage source is not concerned about the current. It focuses only about voltage. So the picture indicates a real voltage source, something like a dry cell. All of you know a battery, 1.5 volt or 2 volt or something like that. In our even in our watch or small button batteries are there. All these are the voltage sources, etc. Okay, so this indicate the real picture of a battery. So this is a simple that we are using at the circuit. This is a voltage source, this is an DC source, and this is an AC source. Already I discussed what is DC and what is AC. So for AC we will specify some frequency. For DC we will specify only the voltage, so sorry, the voltage value. Similar like voltage source, a current source is a two-terminal device or two-terminal circuit element that maintains a constant current through its terminal, and the voltage value doesn't matter. It only deals or care about the current value. Any voltage can be across the current source in either polarity. We are discussing current sources and voltage sources separately, and these sources are of two types, that is independent sources and dependent sources. And we deals what is this two type of source. So independent voltage source means a voltage source not depending upon other circuit parameters are known as independent source. That means the voltage of the source does not depend on other parameters like voltage or current or resistance, etc. So this independent voltage source provides almost a constant voltage irrespective of different circuit elements. So the well-known example of an independent source is a dry cell, that is a battery. Right. So here if we are having a voltage source with 5 volt, it will always provide that 5 volt itself at the end of its lifetime. So that is known as an independent voltage source. Similar, like there is an independent current source, that means it maintains a current through its terminal no matter what you connect to the terminals. That means if we have a current source with 1 ampere, it will always provide 1 ampere throughout the lifetime. So while there will be a device that resembles model current sources, these devices are not as familiar as batteries. So this is the circuit which shows the diagram of a current source. We'll have a circle with an arrow. This is DC current source and this is AC current source. And dependent sources means the voltage, either it may be a voltage source or it may be a current source. So dependent source means it depends on other parameters in the circuit. So we can classify these dependent sources into mainly 4 categories: voltage dependent voltage source and current dependent voltage source. Either we can divide this current source in 2 types: voltage dependent current source and current dependent current source. Okay, so here V first figure indicates that is a V is equal to B into Vc. That means its output voltage V depends on Vc. Vc is some voltage in the circuit. So it will be a scaled version of this some voltage parameter in the circuit. That is why it is known as voltage dependent voltage source. Right. So the symbol for the voltage source is plus and minus. It's a diamond shape. Dependent source we will denote by using a diamond shape. Right. And fixed or independent sources we will represent it by a circle. So not the difference. And current dependent voltage source means here the voltage is equal to R into IC. IC means the circuit current. So voltage depend on scaled version of the circuit current. That is why it is known as voltage dependent current source. So it's a voltage source. That is why it is marked as plus minus. And this diamond shape indicates it's a dependent source. And next is voltage dependent current source. The output parameter will be the current, and the current depends on the voltage of the circuit. So the scaled version of a voltage of the circuit is the current, and the current source will be indicated by an arrow, and the diamond shape indicates a dependent source. Similar, like the last one is current dependent current source. That means the current of the circuit depends on the current provided by this or current supplied by the source. So next thing is a resistor. Resistor, we already discussed what is a resistance by Ohm's law. And a resistor is a two-terminal circuit element that has a constant ratio of the voltage across its terminals to the current through its terminals. So it's a circuit element which shows some resistance. That resistance value depend on the voltage and current through its terminal. So this is the diagram for the resistor. You might all will be seen in your labs or some any equipment. There will be some resistors, right? So this resistance value depends on the substance or the material composition of this resistor. So this is defined as R is equal to rho L by A. Rho means the resistivity of the material, L is the length, and A is the cross-sectional area. Okay, the other relation is V is equal to I into R. That is already we discussed. That is derived from the Ohm's law. So this resistance of each element will be fixed. So when we are applying a voltage to a resistor, the current will vary. Okay. So this R will be always fixed resistors, and there is also variable resistors are there. Already you studied, that is rheostat. Rheostat, we can change the resistance by moving a position. So next thing is a capacitor. Capacitor, all we know that it's a device which stores the electric energy or electrostatic energy. Okay, so the form of practical capacitors contains two electrical contain, that means two plates separated by a dielectric or a insulator. That is a capacitor, that we have a two plates, in between there will be an insulator. So these conductors can be thin films of metal, aluminum foil or disc, etc. The non-conducting dielectric, that is the insulator in between these two plates, will acts to increase the capacitor's charge capacity. This example for this dielectric will be a glass, ceramic or plastic film, air, paper, mica, etc. Like, so unlike a resistor, a capacitor does not dissipate energy. Instead, capacitor stores energy in the form of a electrostatic field between its plate. Right. Capacitor is a storing element. It will stores electrostatic energy, and after charging it will act as a battery. That means it will discharge through other elements. So this is the equation for the capacitance. Capacitance is equal to Q by V, where Q is the charge stored and V is the voltage across a capacitor. And this capacitance of a capacitor depends on the material composition, and that capacitance value is equal to epsilon 0 A by D. This epsilon 0 is the dielectric constant, and A is the area, and D is the distance between two plates, that we will say it capacitor is a two plates separated by an insulator in between, the dielectric media in between. So this D is the distance between these two plates. So the capacitance is measured in the unit farad. F, we denote it as F. So next thing is inductors. An inductor, or it's a coil, is a passive two-terminal electrical component which resists changes in electric current passing through it. It consists of a conductor such as a wire, usually wound into a coil. Why we are wounding this coil is in order to maintain a magnetic field in around this coil. So when a current flow through it, energy is stored temporarily in a magnetic field in the coil, and when the current flowing through the inductor changes, the time varying magnetic field induces a voltage in the conductor according to this Faraday's law, which opposes the change in current that created it. And this opposition is known as the inductance, that is given by L. So here we define this VL is equal to L into di by dt, where this L is the inductance. That means when we are passing a current, time varying current through an inductor, it will produce a potential difference, that is defined as VL. So the practical picture for the inductor is given as here. In many forms, this inductor is available in the market. For example, when you have a transformer, there will be an inductor winding in there. And next is network elements are classified depending on the characteristics. So basically there are four types of classification. First one is active and passive. Second one is bilateral and unilateral. And third is linear and non-linear. Fourth one is lumped and distributed. And I will discuss in detail one by one. So active and passive. Active elements means capable of generating electrical energy in the circuit. That is known as active elements. That is examples are sources, that is batteries, generators, and op-amps, voltage source, current source, etc. And also transistor, diode, etc. all will be the active elements. So I think already you might have studied this. And passive elements, it is incapable of generating electric energy. That is known as the passive elements. Examples are resistor, inductor, and so next is bilateral and unilateral. Bilateral elements means the voltage current relation is same for the current flowing in either direction, that through and for. So from A to B and B to A, the current voltage relation will be same. That type of elements is known as bilateral elements. Example like resistors, capacitors, etc. But in unilateral, the different relation between voltage and current for the two possible direction. For example, our silicon diodes and the metal rectifiers and also the transistors, etc. These are the unilateral elements. In our subject network theory, we always deals with bilateral elements. That means voltage current relationship through either direction will be same. Next is linear and non-linear networks. A linear system which is obey linearity. Linearity in circuit sense means its voltage is proportional to current. So this diagram shows VI relation, that is V is proportional to I. So the circuit or elements which obey this law is known as linear system. And this diagram shows it is non-linear. Can you identify this graph? It is a diode characteristics. So it is non-linear. So the non-linear elements is which is does not obey the linearity. So a linear element, we can say the linear element is one which satisfies the principle of superposition. Superposition means it's a combination of homogeneity and additivity. Homogeneity means when we are scaling with some factor, it will automatically scale the, if you are scaling input, correspondingly output will also scale. And when we are adding some input added with some quantity, corresponding increase in the output will also show. That type of property is known as the superposition. So we can say the linear element will obey the superposition and non-linear element need not be obey this superposition. And the last one is lumped and distributed. Lumped elements are those elements which are very small in size and in which simultaneous action takes place for any given cause at the same instant of time. That means capacitor, resistors, inductors, etc. will be the lumped elements. Excuse me. And distributed elements are those elements which are not electrically separable for analysis purpose. That means it will have some large dimension, that is known as the distributed, something like our transmission line or mounted ICs like that. That are the distributed elements. Okay, next is some SI units for some electrical parameters. Please go through this table. It will be useful for your next classes and next during this course. Unit of electrical parameters. So please go through the slides and also the SI prefixes. Okay. And these are some current voltage ranges for our practical situation. So please go through it for your information. So today I wind up my class, and next class will be the Kirchhoff laws.